Rangers are weighing up a significant move as the club explore defensive reinforcements ahead of a crucial period in the season. With the backline stretched and January approaching, recruitment discussions have shifted toward identifying a long-term solution rather than a short-term fix. Early indications suggest the club are ready to push hard for a promising defender whose profile fits the direction Danny Röhl wants to take the squad. The scale of the interest and the potential bid being lined up signals a decisive moment in Rangers' planning as they look to strengthen an area that has caused real concern in recent weeks. Let's break this down in today's video, along with all the other Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. The winds around Ibrox continue to shift, and few would be surprised if Danny Röhl begins quietly phasing out the remnants of Kevin Thelwell's recruitment drive. The club has already moved on from the former director, yet the players he brought through the door remain embedded in the matchday squad, lingering reminders of a turbulent chapter. Thelwell's stint was brief but chaotic. In a matter of months, he managed to oversee two shambolic managerial hiring processes, introduced family into the structure, and committed significant funds to signings who have offered little evidence they belong at Rangers, let alone in the Scottish Premiership. The ripple effects are still being felt, even as Röhl attempts to rebuild stability and momentum. The German coach initially walked away from talks following Russell Martin's dismissal, but his eventual arrival has provided a touch of order and a modest resurgence in league form. Still, the journey to bring him up the staircase at Ibrox was a prolonged and uneasy one, symbolic of the uncertainty that marked Thelwell's influence. Though the director has now departed, his transfer decisions linger, and their impact will stretch into January at the very least. That is precisely why Rangers have turned significant attention toward Freiburg's young left-back Berkay Yilmaz. The 20-year-old Turkey youth international is currently on loan at Nuremberg in the second Bundesliga, but Freiburg are reportedly prepared to recall him mid-season if a permanent sale materializes. A report in Germany indicated that Freiburg would need to cover a £260,000 fee to break the loan before seeking around £4.3 million to sell the player. Any movement for a left-back naturally directs focus toward Jaden McGome, whose future at Ibrox feels increasingly fragile. Signed on a straight season-long loan, the Brentford defender has endured a tough adaptation to Scottish football. His domestic performances have been inconsistent, but it is in Europe where the concerns have multiplied. Rangers have lost all 4 games the Englishman has started in the Europa League. A stark contrast to the one match he didn't begin, the home meeting with Braga, which produced their only points of the qualifying stage. Whether the club can terminate the loan in January remains uncertain. Any early exit may require financial compensation to Brentford, yet it would also lighten the wage bill and free a space for Röhl to recalibrate his defensive structure. Yilmaz therefore emerges as a practical and attractive option. Depth on the left side of defense has been thin all season. McGome remains the only natural specialist in that role, but his data, highlighted by SofaScore, paints a picture of a player struggling to find rhythm. Max Aarons has the versatility to cover the position, but he is fundamentally a right back. Derek Cornelius and Dujon Sterling offer alternative emergency solutions, yet both are currently sidelined and naturally fit elsewhere on the pitch. Landing Yilmaz would bring balance and reliability, while keeping McGome might simply preserve numbers until the summer. Yet the final call rests in Röhl's hands. If the new manager has properly given up on him, the loanee's return to Brentford could come sooner rather than later. In other news, Rangers are weighing up the prospect of keeping Nedim Barami beyond the January window, with the midfielder gradually playing himself back into the conversation under Danny Röhl. The 26-year-old had been drifting toward the exit door earlier in the season, but the landscape has shifted dramatically as he works to re-establish his place in the squad. Barami's resurgence comes after Roll made clear that the player's attitude, application and impact from the bench have not gone unnoticed. The manager has been encouraged by what he has seen, both in daily training sessions and during Barami's recent cameo in the 2-1 win over Livingston. That performance felt like a quiet spark, a reminder that the Albanian international possesses qualities that can help Rangers in a demanding period. One source said, Danny Roll has given Barami the chance to fight for his place in his plans. It was explained after the Livingston match. He was brought in from the cold when he came off the bench, and Roll said he was impressed with him. That shift in tone is significant. Earlier in the season under Russell Martin, Barami had been firmly on the periphery. He was frozen out of the squad, made available for transfer, and looked destined to move on with little fanfare. But Roll's arrival has reopened a door many assumed was locked. The new manager has been briefed to make the most of the players already at the club, with concerns over heavy January spending shaping his approach. Barami has therefore become something of a case study, a player once deemed surplus to requirements now offering depth and value in a position where Rangers have needed more reliability. The source went on to say, it's really up to Barami right now if he wants to have a future at Rangers. The assessment continued. He's going to have to fight for it. There will be massive changes over the next couple of transfer windows under Danny Roll. He'll be looking to bring in his own players and move on players that are surplus to requirements. For now, the midfielder has earned the right to stay in contention. Roll appreciates his work rate, his tactical flexibility, and his willingness to buy into the new approach. If that continues, there will be no rush from Rangers to entertain bids in January. The club have already signalled internally that they would prefer to keep him around if his upward trajectory holds. It's pretty open right now for Barami, the message concluded. If he continues to do well in training, then he probably will get more minutes in the first team, and then the rest is up to him. Barami's situation is also playing out against a wider backdrop of uncertainty within the squad. James Tavernier's future remains unresolved, with discussions expected ahead of January amid interest from overseas. As things stand, the captain could depart for free in the summer of 2026, and several clubs are monitoring the situation. He had opportunities to leave during the summer, including interest from Turkey and Saudi Arabia, but chose to stay. Despite outside attention, the possibility remains that Tavernier signs a new deal and finishes his career at Ibrox. His situation, much like Barami, is fluid and tied to the club's long-term plan under Roll. For now, Barami stands as a symbol of the new manager's approach, a player reclaimed rather than discarded, and a reminder that opportunities remain for those willing to fight for